Alright, so some things have happened. Uh, I wasn't 100% sure that I wanted to come on here and share about this, but I'm gonna write about it. I have to, because this is information that I've never known about my family that I now feel that I have to talk about. Um, Especially, and it comes at a time now that uh, I've been writing a lot about my life, and actually, the day that my the day after my apartment caught fire, or at least my apartment building. So, my apartment building caught on fire. I didn't even know my roommate was. He didn't even like let me know until he was outside. And then he texted me. I was like, okay, and I didn't know until the firefighters were busting into my front door, and like I was like, who the hell is in my house? And then I was like, oh, they were like, get out, you probably should get out, there's a fire underneath you. Dick. Anyway, so I did. I went downstairs, and it was all very it was a lot for me. Good thing I had taken a Klonopin before I walked outside, because that was a lot to take in all at once. So I went outside, I went downstairs, and I just waited. I felt sick because I had inhaled some smoke, but also like the stress of everything that happened. I went, when we finally got back in, they were like, we may have to turn off the electricity, we may have to turn off the gas, well, whatever, depending on what the situation was. But it finally turned out that they weren't going to turn off the electricity, so we were able to stay the night in the apartment. That was a real worry. I went and had dinner last night with my friend Brandy, that I haven't seen in a long time. She bought some pepper spray, which is, I shouldn't have said that, because pepper spray is technically illegal. And I gave it because my husband has been followed home on a couple of occasions by like big people. And my husband isn't cool under pressure. He'll like pop off on somebody. So like when I gave him that pepper spray, you should have seen how brave he suddenly looked. So I kind of think I might have made a mistake. I guess we'll find out if he like sprays somebody and gets deported. Anyway, so when that was happening and I was outside the apartment, I called my mom, or I texted her phone number, and her phone was off, as it always is, because she claims that she has an old phone and it doesn't hold charge. I think, I don't know what I think. I don't care what I think. That's not beside the point right now. Right now I want to talk about how I texted her, her phone was off, so I called my grandmother's home phone number that I know by heart, that I've known my entire life, and I called it, and it was turned off. I was like, that's so fucking weird. That's so fucking weird. So I called her cell phone. She picked up, and I was like, when did you get your phone turned off? This is how removed from my family in Texas that I am. Because she's my favorite member of my family, and she said, yeah, it's been turned off for about a year. And I was like, oh. And this isn't to say that I haven't been communicating with her, because I have. I text her all the time. I call her, and I probably less than I should. But I was like, let me talk to Mom, because I have to tell her. I was like, well, my apartment is on fire, so can I talk to my mom, please? And she's like, yeah, she was sleeping on the couch. Well, so she gave the phone to my mom. I was like, hey Mom, my apartment building's on fire, and I'm just watching it burn down. Oh, that sucks. No, sorry, let me try that again. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, it was like that. It was like, no, like, emergency in her voice at all. And she's like, well, is there anything after a couple of minutes of talking and her waking up, I realized she was asleep, but like, I wish she would have perked up a little bit more when I told her that, maybe I'm kind of an alarmist. I do call her when there's a true emergency in my life, but this time I think she just feel like she's given up a little bit sometimes. Anyway, so by the end of the call, she like understood that I was annoyed that she like didn't give a shit that I was chilling watching my home burn, and that my husband is like crazy. So I get on a call with my family, and this call, or not a call, a group message, and they're all talking about my brother's new baby and blah 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 blah. But I was like, I started a new message group because when not everybody has an iPhone, you can't message everybody. So I started a new message group with just iPhone users in my family. I was like, sorry guys, I had to do this because I have to show you all the videos. So I sent all the videos, and I was like, yeah, my house, or my apartment building caught fire, and they're like, what the hell? When did this happen? So that told me, because I had this conversation today, and I spoke with my mother and my grandmother yesterday. So that tells me two things. It tells me that nobody else in my family got told about this information at all once it was heard. And also, that like my mom and grandma just straight don't care. Like, but my mom did text me like in the morning, hey, whatever happened? I made her wait till like 1 o'clock before I answered her, like, everything's fine. But my brothers and sisters were really cool. Like, they were like, oh my god, that's insane. And my little brother Roger, I love Roger, my youngest brother, you'll hear about him eventually. I'll write about him eventually. He's an important figure in my life. But he was like, is there any, when he said from Texas, and he's poor, he is single and poor and works a shitty job for his dad, and he is probably the one person in my family that I truly believe has the best of intentions for me and truly loves me. And he was like, but from Texas, I believed his poor ass could help me if I really did ask him. That's like the power of like knowing that somebody loves you that much. And that's something that I didn't get as a child. And I just spoke with my sister on the phone because she also responded to, because I also sent out a message on the group text saying, can you please help me out with my husband, because he is stressing out so much. Like, if he had been there when all this was going down with the fire, he would have gotten arrested for like trying to like throw a punch or something. And he's like tiny. He's a midge. Okay. He's such a spitfire. I love him, but he's just like bah, 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 bah. Because he's one of those people that feels like they aren't heard, so they need to make themselves heard. So my sister reacted to my text message in the group chat, and she called me. I don't talk to my sister Jessica ever, not ever, because just we were. I mean, she messed with me a little bit when I was a kid, but not that bad. But she never really was nurturing to me. She was in a different age group. It was just, we hung out when literally nobody else in the house wanted to hang out with us, and that's just kind of how our house functioned. Like, I had my sister, who I had nothing in common with, who dressed me up in dresses like a bitch for her friends to laugh at. But, I needed somebody to hang out with, so there it was. So she calls me today, and she's like, do you want me to call your husband? Do you want me to... She's like, when does he get off work? I can call and talk to him. And at this point, I'm like, I don't even know you like that. I haven't seen you since the wedding, which was in October, but even then, I didn't talk to her that much. I cropped her out of all the wedding photos and like pretended like she wasn't family, like I did with my brother Jonathan. I do that with people. I have legitimately disowned one family member and made it very, very clear to everybody else. So then she starts going. I don't know why she felt the need to. Apparently I've become approachable in my recent years and since my marriage. That's never something I've been called before. People are usually terrified to talk to me. Because I come off as kind of a bitch, and I don't know why. My mom did too. She got a lot of that. Resting bitch face, a lot. And I do have a behavior disorder, which I am currently working on in therapy, so wish me luck every single day. But so she's telling me all this stuff, right? And then she comes out with a couple of things she told me something about my mom that was something I did not know. She was like, I felt like the stepdaughter. She was the stepdaughter, but I never saw her that way. I was the middle child. I was in the middle of all this insanity that was going on in this fucking house. And, I always treated her like my sister. Like, whatever. But apparently my mom used to make her stand in front of the mirror and say, look at that gut. Look at that gut. All the time. And my sister likes to attribute that to her being obese now. And she is quite a big girl. And so that made me feel sad for her. I can't, but also, I don't know if I can, how much I can believe those words, because my mom never, women have lots of secrets. I realize this. But I never saw my mom say something so cruel to anybody. I felt like she was always so careful. I'm definitely gonna ask her about it. Fuck it, right? And also, because for years I've wondered why my parents got divorced. I assumed it was because my mother was having an affair with Roger, my favorite brother's father. But, I think when push came to shove, it was because my dad was squirreling away money somewhere and didn't want my mom to spend money. He was trying to take care of the family, and she just wanted to spend fucking money. And so they would find like $1,000 in the glove compartment in the car and in socks and all kinds of places. So I thought that was funny because I do that. I kind of do that with my husband now. In a lot of ways, I've turned into my dad, and I'll talk about that later. But so apparently, okay, here I have to get heavy for a second, and I'm sorry, but I'll liven up later. My brother molested my sister from ages 6 to 10. Is what she told me. Which actually is easy to believe, because Andrew is, oh, sorry, I shouldn't have said his name. My brother is half Mexican, and he also felt, of course, like he was the odd man out. He felt like he wasn't one of the family. He felt like he wasn't our brother, but I always felt like I treated all of my siblings like they were my siblings. And that's why I reserve the motherfucking right to disown people. Because I've always treated people with the utmost respect. Always. I realize it's not that respectful to talk about these things right now on my blog, but I have to get the story out. There are things that are coming out that have to be talked about. Things about the past, things about now. Give me a subject, I'll talk about it. But let's continue with this. So where was I? Oh, right. So she tells me that one time my mom walked in on my brother doing something with my sister, and instead of taking them to separate rooms and talking about it, she apparently like busted her ass and just left her there. As opposed to maybe saying, like, sitting her down and saying, look, I know he's not your brother, but she, back then parents didn't have the talk with their kids like that. They didn't have the talk with the kids that young. And so she and I don't think she knew how to talk about it. I don't think she knew that she needed to sit her down and tell her exactly what was going on, what was happening, first of all, because I don't think at the age of 6, my sister quite understood what the fuck was going on. And the second thing, like, the nature of men, that unfortunately is a fact of life. Like, men are gonna try to get it, and in a lot of cases, it has to be, not has to be. I don't want to say that because it's not true. Men should have self-restraint, but my brother, I tried to talk to my sister about this. I think maybe he's got a lot of trauma from his childhood too, and maybe he felt entitled to what he was doing because of how he was treated. But we never know the both sides of any story. I never take sides. But I will say that she needed to be told, push him off. Like, it doesn't happen because they were both small kids. Like, it is possible to push him off. And I realize these things happen, and I realize it's hard to talk about it. But my mom found them. She should have been more concerned about my sister's health, and that is the point I'm trying to make. My sister's mental health. But also, we were living in fucking the middle of nowhere, Texas, and that wasn't something that people talked about either. My dad was insane. My dad was a fucking nutcase. But people would say to me that he had a head injury. Sure. Except there's no evidence of it anywhere, and I think they were just trying... I think he had the same kind of mental disorder that I have, and they had to find some way to explain it away, like bipolar or borderline personality disorder like I have. And so they would tell people that he had a brain trauma, which he didn't have a plate in his head, so... And there were no pictures, there was no evidence of anything. Of course, I say that, and I only went back to his hometown like twice, so some things could come out. So yeah, those two things with my sister were really intense just now. And I have another friend who went through the same thing with her brother, and so I told her about it. All after just finding out that I didn't just find out. My brother, I smoke a lot of weed, I guess. My brother, he texted us in a group quite some time ago that his wife was pregnant, and we were all excited, and she's a girl, and I just want to jump in, and I want to say good luck. Because girls are so hard to raise. I went through hell with both of my sisters at their formative years. And girls are so much harder to raise. Tell me I'm wrong. Let's have a discussion about that. Because they're mean. Girls are mean. So are gays. Gays are mean too. Sorry, guys. We all have to learn to be nice to each other. And in therapy, and as I'm starting to write about my life, and I'm starting to have some epiphanies and want to kind of ask questions about my life, things are coming out of the woodwork. So, but I'm safe from the fire. Turns out, my mom and grandmother couldn't care less about contacting the family about my fire. And that just proves my point about them. Or my mom, at least. I don't know why my grandmother wouldn't even try. Because she talks to everyone. But they're old and smoky. Like, imagine, like, Patty and Selma, like... That's my mom and my grandma, right there. I'll be back next time with some more info. I might write something. Please read it, share, comment. I like to have an interactive conversation with anybody who likes to watch. So, hit me up whenever you want. If you want to hit me up here, that's fine. If you want to hit me up on latchkeybrandon@gmail.com, that is also fine. Here, text, whatever. I'll be seeing you. Bye.